everyone, it's Sharana from Payroll Waits, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Handmaid's Tale Season 4, Episode 7, Home. Y'all, I am not ready, okay? I am not ready, but let me show you what I'm ready for. You see this right here? This right here, this is Elizabeth's. This is her Emmy, okay? Because for that entire scene, that scene with Serena Raggedy behind, okay? I said, baby, come on. Come and get your Emmy, baby. Come on and get it. When you saw that whole scene play out, I was like, this is the scissor reel that they were going to play before they announced Best Actress in a television drama, okay? Elizabeth Olsen. Because, honey, when I say I was shook, I was scared, how I feared for my life when she said, do you understand me? I said, baby, I didn't even do nothing to you, but I understand you. I was shooketh, okay? If I had edges, I wouldn't have any edges at this point in time, because that's how, whew, it was just too much. It was too much for my spirit. I felt that. But before we talk about Raggedy Serena, okay, let's go ahead and get into the beginning of the episode. We pick up where we left off. We saw that June was stepping off the boat into the Canadian soul, and now she meets Mark Tuello, and Rachel's happy, who they greet her to tell her she's safe. And then they ask her questions like, hey, if you return to Gilead, will you be subject to torture? Will you be treated differently because you're a woman? Asking all of these questions in order for her to be able to seek asylum on Canadian soul. So essentially, she says, like, I am June Osborne and I seek asylum in Canada. And so I love the song choice. When she's walking into the hotel lobby and they start playing At Last, I was like, oh my God, the song was on point. To talk about At Last, to think about how this is literally the 4th season and it's not even a season finale. And the fact that we are able to see June leave Gilead, actually go to Canada, be reunited, not only with Luke, but with Nicole and Rita and Emily and Moira. It was just like, I never thought that this was going to happen. So when they start playing At Last, I was like, At Last, okay? Ugh. It was so much. When Luke looked at her, gave her that look, I don't know about y'all, I don't know why Luke looked so fine in this episode. I don't know if it was because he was standing up for his wife or he was being so sweet at the same time. But when I said, baby, I am looking respectfully looking at you, Luke. I see you, Luke. Oh, I don't feel like we talk about Luke enough. We don't talk about Luke enough about how fine he is. But you know, I'm going to stop by saying I'm not going to objectify nobody. I'm just looking respectfully. I am lusting respectfully, and I just wanted to say, like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. So they're keeping her at the hotel because she's now going to be the key witness in the Raggedy Waterford trial, in order to put their Raggedy behind bars forever. So we see that they basically want to debrief her, but they're gonna give her time to kind of get together. Like, can my girl take a shower? Can she get some new clothes on? Like, it's been a long journey for her. Just chill out, Mark. Like, I wish you put this much effort in interrogating Serena Raggedy behind and you sitting up here bothering June the entire time. And so we see that, you know, they want to debrief her on everything that happened, but in the meantime, she goes into the room with Luke and Moira. I love how Moira was just like, hey, make sure you bring me home some of the moisturizers. I was like, okay, they must have had the good name brand stuff. But we see that Luke is nervous. He's trying to ask her, like, so what do you want to do? I mean, it's almost like watching two lovebirds, like two people who have crushes on each other meet for the same time. Luke is just that nervous around her. And so she's clearly like in shock. Kind of just like, it's so much happening. Like, you made it to Canada, you saw Moira, you survived a bomb blast, you lost Janine, then you see your man, and you realize you don't have Hannah, and you know it's just a lot that's happening to her at the same, all at one time. And so she goes to try to clean up, she just stares at herself in the mirror, and then when you see her take the shower, and you see the bruises on her body, like when you think about it, June was just literally shot at the beginning of the season, and we're only 7 episodes in, but she was shot. She had just had a baby a couple of months prior. Like, there's a lot of things that has happened to her. And when they show the shot of her back, you see the bruises on her face. You see the toll that this journey, the toll of being in Gilead for the past 7 years, you see what that has had, like not only on her mentally, but you see even like her spirit seems to be broken, but also too, you see the physical impact of her journey of escaping Gilead, everything that she's been through. You see that on her body in the shower. And so, you know, it's symbolic to see her actually put on a red robe as she gets out of the shower. She goes into the living room, but then she sees Luke kind of trying to figure out how to set the plates for dinner. And then she just kind of like, you know what, this is too much for me. I don't even feel like talking either. She goes back into the bedroom. She locks the door. She lays down. And essentially, she doesn't lock the door, but she closes the door and she lays down. And then Luke's in there like, dang, she ain't been in the bathroom a long time. Like, I know I'm trying to give her space, but girl. So when Luke goes in, she's sleeping, and she looks so peaceful sleeping, like she could finally get like a good night's rest. Like this is probably the best good night rest she has had in quite some time. And then we see that when she wakes up and then Luke is like staring at her like a little kid. I was like, you know what, Luke, normally I would think this is creepy as hell, but given the circumstances that are happening right now, I'm gonna let it slide for you because you still looking so cute, respectfully. So he ends up telling her like, hey, you know, you've been asleep for 17 hours. And then they kind of have like, they think about a memory of when she had talked about sleeping for a long time. And then he starts having a conversation with her and he starts telling her like, hey, like you don't need to be sorry about anything. You don't have to tell me I'm sorry. And it's kind of like how you saw when Rita came back, that came to Canada, even though she was in Canada, she was free. Like, the psychological impacts of still acting as though you're in Gilead, even when you saw her interactions with Fred and Serena Raggedy behind. And now when it's June's first thing to be like, I'm sorry, like everything is my fault, so I'm sorry. Like when Lydia told her everything that's happened is because of you. So he apologized. And he tells her like, you know, he's been trying to find her, but he failed and he's sorry. And like, he just like, I understand if you can't ever forgive me. I understand. I don't forgive myself, but I just want you to know that like, I never gave up on you. And so they have a very interesting conversation because June makes a comment and she says that Hannah knows how much, you know, you love her and how both of them tried to find her. And he's just like, how do you know that? Like, how does she know that? And she was like, I told her. And then she talks about the time when, I think it was season 2, episode 10, when they're at the lake house, when she talks to Hannah, when Hannah asks like, why didn't you come find me? Or she talks about how she was angry at her. And she talks about how her and Luke, like they tried to find her, you know, that they're never going to stop being their parents and how much they love them. I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm thinking back to the time that all of this happened. It was too much. But seeing him get choked up, where she tells him like she's big and she has this great smile. And, you know, he tells her like, you're such a good mother. Like, because if you think back to the episode of June telling her like, be respectful to your new parents, you know, do what they tell you to do. Know that I'm always going to look out for you. I'm always going to be your mother. But like knowing that you have to tell your daughter, like you have to go with them, you're going to be okay. Knowing that you don't know if that's the last time you're going to see your child or not. It just brought up all of those feelings of when I watched that episode and everything that happened. And to see her be able to share that moment with Luke, I mean, that was a lot. I was kind of shocked that she told him all of that. I don't know if it would be too hard for him to understand, you know, everything that happened. But she also made it a point not to tell Luke about the recent visit that she did have with Hannah. So I think it's fair, I think, to note that for her to only want him to have a fond memory of Hannah and to not know about how she's afraid of her now, or she's almost forgotten about her parents. I think it's important on how she chose to protect his peace and to just let him have this fond memory that she had of Hannah. So we see that when Mark Cummins, he basically says like, hey, why did you save the kids? And she was like, it was all that I could do. And he was like, what do you mean? And then she was like, it was the only thing that I can do to make them hurt the way that we hurt when they took our kids. She was like, they take everything from you. And so when he was trying to ask her more questions, he was like, well, baby, do you want to go see Nicole now? And he was like, no, we need to talk to her. It's easier, you know, that she doesn't have good new experiences because it can cloud her judgment. He said, well, baby, let me tell you something. He didn't say it like that, but that's how he was saying it. He was saying it with his chest. He said, I'm going to take my wife, okay? I'm going to take my wife and we're going to go home and we're going to see our daughter, okay? Did you peep that? He didn't say her daughter. He didn't say her and Nick's daughter. He said our daughter. I was like, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I was like, let me take my clothes off right now, Luke, okay? Because I'm ready, okay? Did you see how June was looking at him? She was looking at him like, okay, because you know she kind of made comments. If you think about like previous seasons, previous episodes, when I think it was kind of when she was like trapped, when Nick was trying to get her out in a previous season, and when he was basically like, hey, like I don't know if Luke would necessarily be cut out for a place like Gilead, and how, you know, she was happy to go through that with Nick. But when he did that, I said, Luke, you better say it with your chest, Luke. Tell him what you gonna do with your wife and your child, okay? I was here for that entire interaction. You saw how June was looking at him, because I was looking at him the same way, respectfully. But we see that they end up going home and they see Maura and Emily, and then she finally gets to see Nicole, and she smiles at Emily, which is like a full circle moment, because she asks Emily to protect her child, and the fact that, you know, Emily's with the baby when she walks in, and seeing all of that, I was just like, oh my goodness, she kept her promise. So she ends up like putting Nicole down, and then she was like, hey, me and your daddy loves you, and then she made sure to say your first daddy. So I'm assuming she meant she was talking about Nick, but I was just like, clearly she hasn't forgotten about Nick either. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm riding for Luke though, obviously. But she ends up waking up the next day and she hears Nicole. She goes downstairs to see Maura and Luke. I think Maura and Luke, they are so cute with their whole co-parenting dynamic that they've had, and how much in the groove that they are with it at this point in time. I thought they were so cute. And then Maura's like, hey, I'm gonna take the baby with me to the store. We gotta do some grocery shopping, give y'all some alone time. But, you know, she was like, hey, can I go to the store with you? And so I don't know if she's trying not to be alone with Luke because it's still a little bit too awkward, or she really just wants to go out and explore. Like she says, I need a culture shock after being in Gilead for 7 years. But they decide to go to the grocery store, and that's when she makes the joke about what happened to Chips in the past 7 years. Like, I know I've been gone. I'm like, man, it's been 7 whole years that you've been missing. Like, that's a long time. But when she grabs the potato chips and she thinks that she sees Alma, reminiscent to when they used to be at the supermarket in Gilead, and when she sees the ladies, you know, in their hijabs, and then she sees the water that reminds her of the train station that she was at in Gilead. There's all these things that, this is what Moira was talking about. It can be a lot for you to take in. There's things that still remind you of the place that you were. Even though you're now in freedom, you still see that she's dealing with the PTSD. And then later in the episode, we see that Rita and Oliver and Emily, they come over and they're talking. I think it's really funny because you know, Emily's talking about how, you know, she's still going through her stuff. Like, she's at a point where she feels like maybe she can navigate to her boo thing's bedroom. You know, there's still a long healing process that happens even after these people come to Canada out of Gilead. There's a lot of trauma that you have to unpack. And so then she asks about if they heard anything on Serena. And they were trying to be like, you know, no. And then Rita was like, I saw her. She tells her she's pregnant. And then she was like, is it his? And then I was like, girl, you know, it was Raggedy Fred's. Who else is going to be? Who else she's sleeping with? But if they said Mr. Tuello, I would have been like, I mean, I believe it. So June said F her. And then they started trying to say like, oh, she looks really bad. Like, trying to make her feel better. But we see that Morris sees Una. Almost broke her neck trying to get outside to Una. And then I was like, she shot her shot though. My girl shot her shot and said, you're my forever. You're my forever, girl. You my rib, girl. Okay? And then she said, you know what? I'm not going to argue with you tonight, but you can call me. We can talk about it later when I'm not freezing. I said, oh, okay, Maura, go ahead and get that good thing back. But we see that, you know, June is in the kitchen and Luke comes in. She's pouring herself some wine. And they kind of have a moment, they start kissing, and then he touches her bruise. And I don't know if it was when he touched her bruise or when he almost touched, you know, the tag that they have on their ear for the Handmaids. I don't know if it was that, but it kind of just freaked June out, and she had to just walk away. And we see as they're asleep, she's having these thoughts about Serena and everything that she had been through with Serena, and really reeling off with the fact that this girl is really pregnant. And so she asked Mr. Tuello Raggedy Behind to come meet her. And basically, let me get June and Emmy out real quick. Let me get Elizabeth and Emmy out. So basically, she meets her, okay? And then Serena, like, I prayed to the Lord that this would happen. And I was, what is in my face? Sorry, y'all. But she said, oh my gosh. Sorry. But she said, I prayed to the Lord that this would happen. And I was like, sis, are you being serious right now? Like, Serena is just so extra. I just don't understand it. But she was talking about, she said, I want to make amends. And then June was like, I wanted to tell you how much I hate you. And then she said that she deserves a life full of suffering and shame, and how she's destroyed her family, her friends, her life, her country, okay? Her country, okay? And then she said, let me make sure I get this right, baby, because she said, there is no one less worthy of redemption than you. And then she was like, I'm sorry. I said, bitch, what you sorry for? You wasn't sorry when you started this whole little coup. You didn't put this all these ideas in these little raggedy weak men's heads. You wasn't sorry then. You wasn't sorry when you took over the U.S. You wasn't sorry when you was having these women raped day in and day out. You wasn't sorry when you was having her sleep with other people, when y'all raped June when she was pregnant, when y'all got rid of June. Like, you wasn't sorry for all these other transgressions, but now you sorry because you pregnant? Have it make sense. Have it make sense for me, okay? So then she was just like, after she said, I'm sorry. And so then she says, she gets on her knees. And I like this role reversal, because if you think of earlier seasons, how Serena was always talking down to June. And to see this level of reversal, and to see June take control of her life, and to see that she takes her power back from Serena, because that's what that whole conversation is about. She had to take her power back, baby. So the part that got me, let me tell you the part that got me. The part that got me when she said, you want to know something? You want to know something, baby? She said, God made you pregnant. So when he kills the baby inside of you, that you will feel a fraction of the pain that you caused everyone when you tore their children from their arms, okay? And she said, do you understand? Do you understand? Okay? She was looking like that. I'm staring at y'all crazy, because she was like, you saw, like, she had the devil in her eye. She had the devil in her eye looking at her. I said, oh, baby, I ain't do nothing to June, but I'm scared of her now. I had chills. I had chills up my whole body, chills up my spine, everywhere. I was like, oh, my God, okay? Look, Emmy, give it to her. She deserves, okay? And so, and I see her crying, I was just like, girl, as many lives that you ruined and you crying, like, and you really thought you was gonna have a decent conversation, that she was gonna just forgive you and be like, kumbaya, my Lord. No, bish, we don't like you. I was just like, the audacity for her to even think that this was gonna happen. And so we see that when she goes home, she gets in the bed with Luke. Luke's sleeping out peacefully and beautifully. And so essentially, she climbs on top, she starts kissing Luke, getting him ready, getting him primed up. And then I got a little uneasy. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I was a little uneasy about the scene, because it was like, guess she was taking back her power of sex, because you heard when Moira and them were talking about how sex hasn't been the same for them. It's hard for them to even think of that after being in Gilead. And it looks like she kind of, I don't know if y'all want to call it rape. I know it's going to be a little touchy, but I was just like, Luke looks so like terrified and uncomfortable, and he didn't know what else to do. So I don't know what y'all gonna call it, but he looked very uncomfortable. I'm just saying. And so then, you know, we see that she goes to talk to Mr. Tuello, and she's having a conversation with him, and he was just like, look, baby, because I could tell, I've been watching through the season. She didn't say that, but I've been watching through the season. I see how you be looking at Serena like she's this good person. And so let me tell you something, okay? Because Serena is a let me get my Emmy again. Serena is a monster, okay? She is a monster. She's full of hate and rage, and you feel to fuel her, to shield the misery that she lives in, and she would do anything not to feel that way. And she said, if you feel like you're getting sucked into her web, you better run for your life. run for your life, okay? Because we saw how Mark been looking at Serena, and I've been side-eyeing Mark this entire time since last season. I was just like, sir, I really don't understand why you feel like such a certain type of way. That's since last season. Actually, it was last season, yeah. I don't know why you've been feeling sorry for this monster, okay? This demon, this devil. But no, she ain't the one that needs your pity, okay? So, but I do have to talk about the Raggedy Waterfords real quick before. I know we typically start with the trash first, but I had to get that little Emmy performance out of the way. So, we see that Serena's praying to the Lord. I pray that I have a healthy baby. I said, you need to be praying for your soul, baby. You need to be praying that you are not going to be put into the pits of hell, okay, for eternal damnation for all of your transgressions, your sins against everyone in this series in the country. And so he walks in, and, you know, while she's sitting there praying, acting like she a good person, that pettiness kicked right on in, not even 5 seconds after she got done praying. I was just like, see, this is why you a demon and you a devil, okay? And I really don't understand why Mark has a soft spot for you. But the sexual tension between them is really, it's just too much. I just don't even see how you can be attracted to someone that is that terrible of a person. I don't know if he's fascinated with her. It's clearly they have sexual tension amongst each other, but she asked him, has he seen June? And he was like, and he basically says like, whatever, like, what are you talking about? And she was like, I know that she's here. My lawyers told me. But then he changes the subject and says that Fred Raggedy Behind wants to see her. And so basically she says that she's afraid, you know, because June is here, is going to like mess up their case. And Mark is like, you can have influence on Fred now because of that. Because remember, she's in jail because of what Fred said about her. And so basically she goes to end up seeing Fred Raggedy Behind. And then he started quoting Bible scriptures and stuff. And then Fred is so creepy. Even when she went to go see him at the end when June said what she's saying, and she basically goes to talk to Fred because she in her feelings now, he rolls so creepy. He's such a creep. So he started quoting scripture. Serena like, sir, I ain't having it. Try somebody else. Don't try me. Try Jesus. Don't try me. So, I like when he basically says like, hey, I want to do what's right for our baby. And she was like, this isn't your child. And he said, hold on, wait a minute. He said, this baby just as much as mine, as much as you think that Nicole is yours. Okay. All right. I was like, ooh, he had her on that one. Okay. And so, he basically says that June can put both of them away because she knows everything that has happened in their household. And so he says that they basically need to work together in order to make sure that they can be free to help raise their child. And so we basically see her at the end of the episode, you know, when June is like, she'll do anything to get back in your good graces, and she wants to feel okay. You know, she'll lie to you, she'll hurt you, she'll rape you, she'll do whatever she can to have that moment of peace. And so when we see her actually go to talk to Fred, you know, that's what she's doing. This is after June has basically cursed her child, and she feels as though she has no one left, and she goes back to Fred to find that attention, right? To feel like she's needed, to feel like she has some type of purpose. And so that's basically how the episode ends. If y'all tell me, if y'all gonna sit up here, because I know y'all been like, oh, it's been boring, I don't know what y'all talking about. If you watch this episode and you watch that scene alone and didn't feel nothing, because she was acting, honey. She was acting. If you tell me this episode wasn't good, this is a good episode, y'all. I don't know what y'all talking about. And maybe y'all agree. Maybe I'm just tripping like Sharana says. You didn't even give us time to make our own assumptions. You know what? You right. I ain't gonna say nothing. But if you telling me this episode wasn't good, this was a good episode. I'm here for it. I'm excited about it. But make sure I actually will be interviewing some of the cast. Some of those interviews are going to start popping up over the course of the next week and a half, so make sure you stay tuned. But those are my thoughts on Handmaid's Tale Season 4, Episode 7, Home. As always, my name is Sharana from Payroll Waits, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit the notification bell. And I love you guys 3000, and until I see you again, bye!